Hi everyone, it's Steph and welcome to another video. Wherever and whenever you are, I hope you are having a wonderful day. This video is the second of 4 instructional videos for using the clasped warp and weft technique on the rigid heddle loom. The first video in this series was about using the clasped weft technique that doubles your weft. In this video, I'll show you how to use the clasped weft technique. Try and say that really quickly, it's really tricky. Leaving a single weft in your warp. This technique is perfect if you've got a single warp and you want a single weft, but you also want the freedom and the creativity that the clasped weft technique gives you. And it also gives you a balanced weave at the end of the day as well. So this is a favourite of mine. It's not quite as easy or simple. It's a little bit more fiddly, but I think the end results are definitely worth the extra effort. First, you need to make sure that you have your contrast yarn and your base yarn on opposite sides. So when you join in your contrast yarn, as I'm doing here, I'm doing that on the opposite side. Once you've chosen where you want to switch from contrast to base yarn, bring your contrast yarn up through the shed at that spot. And just pop it to the side. I like to pop it to the opposite side. Then bring your base yarn through the shed and then out of the shed at exactly the same spot that you brought out your contrast yarn. Once you've got both of your contrast and your base yarns through the shed, then beat. Now with your contrast yarn, make sure that you have looped the other colour, your base colour, and then slide your shuttle through the shed at exactly the same spot that you brought it out. Pop it through the shed, don't pull it too tight. Then do the same with your base yarn. Pop the shuttle through the shed and the entry point at exactly the same point. Then tug on the edges of your work just a little bit and then beat. And don't forget to tuck in your tails when you join on. Now let's have a look at this a little bit more closely. To make sure that you loop the yarn on the second beat, it's easier to have your shuttle coming through and then sitting on the opposite side so that it makes a little cross like we've got here. And this just makes it easier that when you pick up your contrast yarn, you've already looped your base yarn. To make sure that the knobbly bit where the yarns join isn't like really pronounced, just go one warp thread to the left or the right, and this just helps to smooth out that join a little bit. You will still get a little knobby, but it won't be like a really big knot, and it's a lot smoother this way. It's a great idea if you've got a repeating pattern to mark out, just using threads on your heddle or however you want to, just where the entry point is and where you change the kind of steps that you do from one stripe to the next. So for example, I'm increasing every 4 from the entry point to the first piece of yarn on the heddle, and then every 2 to the other side. So it's just a good idea to make things a little bit easier for you by doing things this way. I find that using this technique for clasped weft actually allows you to be a lot more precise with where you put your colour changes. So you can actually get much better shapes and much smoother shapes because the weft yarn doesn't move as you beat, which is what happens using the first technique. So if you wanted really precise squares or circles, as long as you're even with, you know, your steps on your stripes and where you change colours, you can actually get really crisp lines in your weaving using this technique. This is just a closer look at going either side on your second beat to get a smoother yarn join and just what it looks like on the loom. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to support me, then please like this video. This really helps the algorithm to get the video out to others like you who might find this interesting and instructional. If you feel comfortable, please subscribe. It is free and that also will help my channel to grow. Thank you once again. I hope you all have a wonderful day and let me know if you found this technique interesting and what your thoughts were.